Two Ukrainian jets, 16 minutes. And a headline that claims $620 million vanished over Moscow like smoke. Now, before you call this pure clickbait, here's the truth. Ukraine did not send two manned fighter jets over Moscow and bomb the city into a $620 million crater in a single 16-minute run. That specific story is not supported by credible public reporting, but what is real is arguably more unsettling for Russia. Because since 2022, Ukraine has repeatedly proven one thing. If Russia builds a safe zone, Ukraine eventually finds a way to turn it into a target. With helicopters, with drones, and with long-range missiles launched from jets that never have to fly directly over the bullseye. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why Moscow's greatest fear isn't one mythical two-jet raid. It's the pattern, a pattern that keeps forcing Russia to spend more money, move more assets, and admit, again and again, that its defenses can't be everywhere at once. So let's start with the closest thing to a two-jet moment that's 100% real and documented. A strike where Ukrainian jets punched into Russian-controlled territory and hit a target that was supposed to be untouchable. Chapter 1. The two-jet strike that proved Russia bleeds. September 22, 2023. Sevastopol, Crimea, occupied by Russia, treated like a fortress, and used as a launch pad for pressure on the entire Black Sea. At midday, Russian-installed officials reported that Ukraine struck the headquarters of Russia's Black Sea Fleet in Sevastopol, with Russia's defense ministry saying its air defenses shot down 5 missiles, but at least one still hit the HQ. And here's the detail that matters for our story. Multiple reports state those Storm Shadow/SCALP cruise missiles were launched from Ukrainian Su-24M bombers, Ukrainian jets. Not a drone hobbyist, not a border skirmish. A manned jet platform, modified, protected, and flown with discipline, delivering a long-range strike package. Russian officials reported a cyber attack disrupted internet services around the same time. On video, you can see smoke rolling off the roofline, ambulances, debris, and the kind of frantic response you only see when a leadership hub has just been punched in the face. Ukraine later claimed the strike killed and wounded senior personnel, claims Russia disputed and which are difficult to independently verify. But even Reuters reported Ukraine's special forces said 34 officers died and 105 were wounded, including the fleet commander. So let's strip it to the core. Ukrainian jets launched standoff cruise missiles. A Russian fleet headquarters in Sevastopol took a hit. Russia admitted at least one serviceman was missing. The incident caused visible film damage. This wasn't just a strike. It was a sentence written in metal: you can harden a headquarters. You can ring it with air defense. You can annex the ground beneath it. But you can't annex physics. If a missile can fly the corridor, the target is already dead. And that brings us back to Moscow. Because if Ukraine could do this to the Black Sea Fleet, inside Crimea, then the question becomes inevitable. How close can Ukraine bring the war to Russia's symbolic centers? Stay with me. Because the answer arrived over Moscow, not as jets, but as something cheaper, smaller, and far harder to stop completely. Chapter 2. When Moscow learned the sky isn't a promise. May 3, 2023, night in Moscow. Russia said 2 drones targeted the Kremlin and were brought down. No casualties were reported. 2 drones. Not a city-leveling event. But psychologically, that was a flare in the dark. Because the Kremlin isn't just a building, it's the symbol Russia sells to its people as unbreakable. And the moment Moscow claimed drones reached it, something changed. The war wasn't over there anymore. It had coordinates. Then the pressure built. July 2023. Reuters reported Russia said it brought down 3 drones attempting to attack Moscow, shot down or forced to crash, with minor damage to 2 buildings, and no one hurt. 2 days later, that discomfort turned into a narrative problem. A drone hit a high-rise in Moscow's business district, the same tower that houses 3 Russian government ministries, and Reuters reported it was struck for the 2nd time in 3 days. Think about that. Not because the facade damage was massive, but because the target selection was surgical, ministry offices. The message wasn't, "We can destroy Moscow." The message was, "We can reach the rooms where your war is managed," and it kept going. Reuters reported other incidents where drones damaged buildings and disrupted air traffic, Another reminder that even small impacts create ripple effects when the target is the capital's rhythm. Now here's the key point. Moscow's defenses can intercept drones. They can jam. They can shoot down. But every time an alert goes out, Russia pays anyway. Airports disrupt schedules, residents film smoke, officials issue statements, and the public sees cracks in the total control story. This is why these attacks matter even when the physical damage is minor. Because the real target is confidence. And confidence is what holds a home front together. But Ukraine didn't stop at headlines and symbolism. Ukraine went after something Moscow values even more than optics: logistics, fuel, the engine. Which brings us to the earliest two-aircraft strike that shocked Russia awake. Chapter 3. The morning two aircraft set Russia's backyard on fire. April 1st, 2022, Belgorod. A Russian regional official accused Ukraine of carrying out an airstrike on a fuel depot inside Russia. And Reuters reported Russia's defense ministry said 2 Ukrainian helicopters struck the facility after entering Russia at extremely low altitude around 5 a.m. Moscow time, about 35 kilometers from the border. Ukraine denied responsibility. But what matters for the audience watching this war unfold was simple. Russia was forced to publicly discuss a strike on its own territory, early in the invasion. The fuel depot burned, the footage spread. The assumption of safety in Russia's border regions collapsed overnight. And that attack revealed an uncomfortable truth. Even a heavily militarized border has blind spots. Low altitude, terrain, short reaction windows, and suddenly, defended becomes defended most of the time. Now, zoom out. You've seen 3 different tools already. Jets launching long-range missiles into occupied Crimea, drones pushing psychological pressure inside Moscow, helicopters setting Russia's rear-area fuel infrastructure on fire near the border. But the most expensive pain? The kind that hits Russia where it can't fake strength? That came when Ukraine started reaching for the crown jewels, Russia's strategic bomber bases. And that's when the $620 million vibe stops being a meme and starts becoming a math problem. Chapter 4. The bomber bases, where Russia's biggest wings got exposed. December 2022. Russia reported drone attacks on 2 air bases deep inside its territory, Engels in the Saratov region and Diaghilevo in the Ryazan region, killing 3 military personnel, according to Reuters. Reuters later framed it for what it was, a reputational blow, a question mark over why defenses failed, and a signal that drones were now part of the strategic conversation, not just tactical nuisance. Engels matters because it hosts Russia's long-range strategic bomber force, assets tied to nuclear capability and to cruise missile strikes. And the deeper the strike, the bigger the message. Because if Ukraine can hit an airfield hundreds of kilometers from the front, then suddenly Moscow itself looks less like a fortress and more like a city inside a radius. Then in March 2025, Reuters reported Ukraine struck the Engels airfield again with drones, triggering a huge blast and fire roughly 700 kilometers from the front line, with videos verified by Reuters showing the explosion and smoke. Local officials reported 10 people injured. This is not propaganda. This is physics on camera. And then, in June 2025, the scale jumped. Reuters reported Ukraine released footage of a major drone strike on 4 Russian military air bases, with Ukraine saying 117 drones were used and 41 aircraft were hit, while noting Reuters could not independently verify the full number. Reuters also reported satellite imagery showed bombers destroyed and damaged at one base. And another Reuters graphics report described how drones were launched near at least one air base, and that Russian authorities said Ukraine targeted airfields in multiple regions, including Murmansk and Irkutsk, some very far from Ukraine. Pause here. Because this is the pivot point. This is where the war stops being a front line and becomes a systemic problem for Russia. You can protect trenches, you can protect bridges, you can protect a palace, but can you protect every airbase, every fuel node, every radar site, every refinery, forever? Not without going broke. And Russia knows it, which is why the capital, Moscow, keeps seeing drones. Because the point isn't that a drone can topple the Kremlin. The point is that every drone forces Russia to spend missiles, manpower, radar time, and political capital. And the pressure doesn't just hit pride, it hits the money machine. Chapter 5. Moscow's real weakness isn't glass, it's fuel. If you want to understand the $620 million fantasy headline, stop staring at skyscraper windows, start staring at energy infrastructure. Because in real war math, energy is tempo, energy is mobility, energy is revenue, and the closer a strike gets to Moscow's supply ecosystem, the more it matters. In December 2025, Reuters reported Ukraine said it struck the Slavneft Yanos oil refinery in Yaroslavl, about 250 kilometers northeast of Moscow, with industry sources saying output was suspended after drones hit key units. That's not a symbolic target. That's the bloodstream. And around the same period, Reuters reported Russia said Ukraine launched a major drone attack, with hundreds of drones intercepted across regions including Moscow and flight diversions from major Moscow airports. Again, maybe the drones don't always cause a crater in Red Square, but they force disruption, they force reroutes, they force emergency response, and all of that costs money. Every time. And when you combine the strikes, the standoff missile attacks launched by jets into Crimea, the recurring drone pressure around Moscow, the deep hits on strategic bomber infrastructure, and the expanding energy targeting campaign, you get the real story behind the clickbait. Not two jets erased $620 million over Moscow. But Ukraine is forcing Russia into a defense posture that bleeds resources across an entire continent-sized perimeter. And that is a slow-motion financial weapon. The real 16 minutes lesson. Let's be blunt. In modern warfare, the most dangerous strikes aren't always the ones that look biggest on video. They're the ones that create cascade effects. A headquarters hit disrupts command tempo. A bomber base hit changes launch patterns. A refinery hit squeezes logistics and revenue. A drone over Moscow doesn't need to flatten the Kremlin to do damage. It just needs to prove the warning system can be triggered again, and again, and again. This is why Russia's air defenses, no matter how advanced, are trapped. Because defense has to be perfect every time. Attack only has to succeed once. And Ukraine has shown it can rotate methods. Jets with standoff missiles where possible, drones when the risk profile demands deniability and saturation, occasional aviation raids near the border when timing allows. So here's the final takeaway. This war isn't just trenches versus trenches. It's networks versus networks. And networks don't collapse from one punch. They collapse from 1,000 small failures, stacked close enough together that the system can't recover fast enough. That's what Moscow is learning. Not in one mythical 16-minute jet raid, but over years of pressure that refuses to stop. Russia can build walls. It can build narratives. It can move the goalposts of what security means. But history has a habit of flying through the cracks. And whether it arrives as a cruise missile launched from a jet over the Black Sea, or a drone streaking toward Moscow in the night, the lesson is the same. Power isn't measured by how loud you roar. It's measured by how calm you can stay when your safe zone is suddenly a target. If you value this kind of breakdown, where we cut through the hype and find the real lessons behind modern conflict, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep uncovering the stories that shape wars long before the headlines do. And hit the bell, because the next strike won't announce itself.